All right, let me just change my view back to gallery. Okay, slightly unusually, I don't do this very often, but we're going to start standing today. So if you're on your bums or kneeling, hop yourself up onto your feet and come to the upper, I would say upper third of your mat will do nicely. Enough that when you come to a forward fold, you've got space to be able to pop your hands down. So avoid standing right at the very beginning or very front of your mat. I'm going to face you for the purposes of this one. So you've got some choices from the ground up. You can stand hip distance apart or whatever your natural normal stance width is, or you're welcome to try having your big toes and the inside edge of the ball of your feet touching. Maybe just leave a little gap between your ankles. Now this is going to be a little bit less stable, especially if you're working on a carpeted surface. So if you feel it's better for you to stand a little bit wider, then you can absolutely do that. Just for a moment, relax your arms by your side, and we're going to work through like a little circular checklist through the body. And if you're comfortable to, close your eyes and just let my voice guide you. But if you feel like, oh, I'm not really sure where I am in time and space, by all means, keep your eyes open. So I am going to face you. So if there's anything that I'm saying that maybe doesn't make sense, I'm going to demonstrate it for you as well. So here we are, starting with the feet. You've decided whether you're hip distance apart or wherever your natural width is, or coming in closer together. And then we're just going to lift up the toes for a moment. So you might feel like you're rocking back with your heels. Spread your toes wide and then anchor them back down into the ground or into your mat. So that's going to give you the best sense of stability. Almost like tree roots kind of digging down firmly into the ground. And then we're just going to soften the knees a teeny tiny little bit, because you may be like me, I tend to relax and pop my knee joints back. So a little softening of the knees just means that I'm not resting through the knee joint, because that's so tempting for me to do. Little bend in the knees. And then that might also cause you to have a little bend at the hips, because if you do pop back on the knees, what I tend to do is I stick my butt out. So soften the knees and think about the hips tilting almost like a little tuck in underneath, coming forward. And then zip your belly button in and up. You're going to lift your chest, but not let the lower ribs flare. Imagine that you've got a little gentle corset just stitched up nicely in front of you with that zipped up sensation. We've got activity in the core muscles, but we're not necessarily bracing with any big level of exertion. And then as we continue to lift up and the chest is lifted, the collarbone, imagine that's broadening, widening, and the tips of your shoulders, left to right, just spreading as far as they comfortably can. And then the whole of the front of the body is elevated with the crown of your head being the highest point. Now we'll work our way down the back of the body. Relax your shoulders, let them slide down the back. Turn your palms forward and then snuggle your elbows in towards your waist with your little fingers just touching the side of the thighs. Good. Then as we work our way back down, we've still got the strength here through the front section, little tilt of the tailbone down. You might feel the glutes starting to engage. And then that strength is going to carry on down through the hamstrings. We've still got the softness in the knees, so the front of the thigh should be a little bit active. And then anchor all the way down into your heels. So we've got feet grounded, little softness in the knees, firmness in the thighs, through the middle, lifted up through the chest, standing tall, but then anchored down all the way through the back of the body. And it should feel like there's a fair amount of activity going on, almost squeezing left to right, front to back, and top to bottom. So this is our mountain pose. And as the name suggests, it's strong, it's stable, it's sturdy. So at any point that we're doing any balance practices or anything where your legs are staggered and you think, oh gosh, I'm not sure, take this sensation of stability with you. Remember that you've got options all the way through the practice. You can rest whenever you need to, take a little pause, have a sip of water, or modify any of the poses if that suits your body best. Now we're still squeezing left to right, front to back. My thighs are starting to tire, maybe yours are as well. So let everything soften, shake it off. Wriggle your arms left to right. Maybe you swing side to side, taking your arms with you, letting shoulders, hips, and head move. Beautiful, lovely, well done. Come back to mountain pose and find stillness now that we've had a little shake and a wriggle. And if you have space, reach your arms wide. I'm going to go straight up, otherwise I'll knock a plant off. Breathe in and lift your arms up and overhead. Connect your palms and then exhale, send your elbows wide as your palms come down. Beautiful. Let's take another one. Let your arms rest by the side and then breathe in, lift. Up and overhead, connect your palms, exhale, send them wide and low down. One more time, but we're going to keep the arms up and overhead this time. You're going to grab a hold of your right wrist and tilt over to the left side and hopefully feel like a really nice opening and stretch through the right side of the body. Breathe in, lift up and overhead, change the wrists around, tilt to the right, feeling the stretch through the left side. Good, well done. One more time, breathe in, lift, change the wrists around, tilt over to the left. Maybe you start to send your hips over to the right if your balance allows. It should deepen the stretch, traveling all the way through the lower side. Come on up, breathe in, swap wrists one last time, send the hips over to the left as you lean to the right. Awesome. Come on up, connect your palms, exhale and lower down. Now follow your hands down with your gaze, chin to chest, reach on down, fingertips aiming for the ground, come into a really nice, soft, gentle forward fold. Maybe this is the first one that you've done for the day, so we're going to move over towards the right side with the fingertips and over to the left side. So like we did when we were standing, we're just swishing side to side. Maybe your fingertips are dragging along the floor, or maybe you're walking them, lifting them each side. Good, very nice. And then pause in your forward fold. Again, you have the option to have your feet hip distance apart or a little closer, softening at the knees so you're not pressing back on the knee joints. Now place your right palm on the ground, bend your right knee. You might notice the left hip shifts a little. And inhale, lift your left hand up. We're going to take a turn to the left. Good, fingertips up high. Exhale, bring the left hand down. Palm on the ground, bend your left knee, straighten your right leg and lift your right hand up, reaching the fingertips to the sky. One more each side. So exhale, lower the right, bend in the knee, lift up through the left, so the left leg, left arm straight. Excellent. Breathe out and lower. Swap the legs around. Inhale, reach up with the right side. Nice. And bring it back down. Find your forward fold. If the fingertips don't reach the floor, you've got the option to hold your elbows. If the fingertips do reach the floor, just check that you're not propping up your body weight through your arms. Fold forward at the hips. The head is heavy. Perhaps you give it a little nod, shake or sway. The shoulders are relaxed. The arms are soft. Awesome. We're going to take a halfway lift, breathing in as we go. So the back begins to flatten. Tuck the elbows in towards your ribs. Extend the crown of your head forward. And then a couple of rounds of standing cat and cow. So like we would as if you were on all fours. Let your belly drop. Loop your shoulders back. Look ahead of you. Tilt your tailbone up. This should give you a hamstring stretch at the same time. And then you're going to breathe out, round your shoulders. Perhaps you hook your fingertips on the back of the knees as you lift your back up to the ceiling. Beautiful. Breathing in. Let's go belly low, chest up, tailbone tilts high. And breathe out, head lowers. Maybe you hold the back of the knees, pushing your back up towards the ceiling. Very nice. Relax, release. Exhale, hands down. Bend your knees as much as you need to for your palms to come firmly onto the ground. Lift one leg, take a big step back. Lift the other leg, take another big step back. And we'll find ourselves in plank just momentarily. Pushing the ground away. Lift your shoulders. Draw the belly button in and up. And now push your hips up to a pike. So pushing into the heel of the hands, sending your hands ahead of you. The heels can start to drop back. And we'll take a little walk. Drop one heel, bending the opposite knee, and swap. Keeping a bit of gentle movement as you alternate left and right, coming into your hamstring stretch of the straight leg. As your arms reach ahead of you, keep your head relaxed and heavy through your arms, drawing your chest towards your legs if that feels comfortable. All right, so we're about to fire up our core. So with a gentle breath in, lift your right leg up and back behind you. And as you breathe out, bring your right knee to your nose. Just the once, rock forward to plank. Knee comes underneath your chest. Look at your knee, lift high through the shoulders. And then breathe in, kick it back. Good. This time you're going to bring your right knee to your right tricep. So rock forward to plank again. The knee is a little wider. If it touches your tricep, awesome. If it doesn't, don't panic. And breathe in, kick it back. This time we're going to bring the right knee to the right wrist. So it's going to scoop a little lower. Come on forward. Let the shin maybe just elevate off the ground. Very nice. Breathe in, kick it back. I've got just one more for you. You're going to bring the right knee wide as if attempting a tree pose, bringing the foot of the right side onto the left inner thigh. Now you're working your glutes. As you shift forward, we're slowly going to lower the hips down onto the mat, bending at the elbows and untucking your left toe. Now, if it's better for you to keep your elbows bent, keep them bent. Otherwise, breathe in and lift. Good, moving gently, whatever your lower back needs. Roll the shoulders back, lift the chest, and then we'll breathe out to lower. Tuck your left toes. We're going to push up and away, lifting your right knee with you at the same time, and then step your right foot to the outside edge of your right hands. So you might need a generous push off the ground and a quick shift up, right foot forward. Yes, awesome. There we go. Into our lizard lunge. Now you're absolutely welcome to drop your left knee if that's better for you, or keep the left leg active, long, strong, and straight. Lifting your chest forward. We should feel a stretch through the left hip flexor, but perhaps also the back of the right hip as well. Relax the shoulders, draw the chest forward. All right, we're going to push the ground away again and then come to pigeon pose. So if you need a prop or a support or a cushion for the underneath of the thighs, grab it now wherever it is from you. Push the ground away, lift the right leg, and then scoop it underneath. So the right knee is lining up with your right wrist, right ankle. I'm looking at the body part. What's it called? Right ankle is somewhere between left wrist and left hip. Untuck your left toes, scooch the leg behind you. Let me give you a few options for pigeon. You can stay upright, even propping a bit of weight through your arms to support if that's better for the hips. Slide a cushion underneath your left thigh, underneath your right thigh, whatever you prefer. The shoulders are forward, the hips are forward. And if this position works for you, stay here. Otherwise, consider leaning a little bit further forward. Now we take the weight off the hips, which they might be grateful for, but the more further forward you come, the more you increase the angle for the right hip, so it might feel like a deeper stretch for you. So you decide whether you want to stay upright or just take a little lean forward. And if you're on your elbows, maybe you consider pulling your elbows back and your hips might naturally feel like they're pulling forward. If that doesn't feel great for you, ignore it. Stick with what works. Good, well done. If your arms are bent, come on up to straight arms. Bring your palms underneath your shoulders. We're going to tuck the back toe, lift the back leg. At the same time, be strong. Send your right leg back to a plank. Take a little walk if you need. Bend one leg, shake it off. And then we'll come up to plank. Drop the heels down and find our second downward facing dog of the day. Another bend of one leg, a drop of the heel on the opposite side, and swap. Coming back to your hamstring stretch. So already within the first few minutes, we've done hamstrings, we've done hip flexor, and we've done glutes. Let's not forget the left side. So when you're ready, from your downward facing dog, a little breath in to lift your left leg, and a breath out to bring your knee to your nose. First round, shift forward to plank. Look at your left knee, lift high through the shoulders, strong core, and kick it back behind you. Good. This time left knee to tricep, so it's a little higher, a little wider out to the side. If the knee doesn't catch the tricep, that's fine, don't worry. General direction will do. And kick it back. This time left knee to left wrist. Come on forward, a little lower, be strong through the core. Try not to let your hips drop too much. Excellent, and send it out wide. This time the knee is going to come wide, the foot's going to come narrow, aiming the foot on the left side for the right inner thigh, using your glutes, and then that slow transition, bending your elbows, let the legs find the mat, untuck your right toes, and breathe in to lift to the extent that feels good for you. So the hips are pulling forward and down, the chest is forward, like a kind of, I don't even know what to call this, a cobra variation. And then we'll breathe out to lower. All right, we're going to push up into a lizard lunge. So tuck your right toe. As you lift, bring your left knee with you, and then swing it forward. Take a step to the outside of your left hand. Good. If you need to provide some assistance using your arms, you can do that too. Remember the right leg, you can keep it straight or bend at the right knee to untuck your toes. But I hopefully encourage you all to feel the stretch on the right hip flexor this time, but also perhaps a little bit around the back of the left hip. Good, very nice. We're drawing the chest forward, thinking about pulling the hips forward and down. So as we think about pushing the ground away, this time we're going to lift this left leg and scoop it underneath us. So when you're ready, push away, lift, bringing the knee on the left leg just behind your wrist and the ankle somewhere between your right wrist and hip. Untuck your right toes. You can scooch the leg behind you a little bit, grabbing any props to support underneath the thighs, and we'll start upright for pigeon. So we're looking for the shoulders to face the front edge of the mat, equally the hips. The right one's going to want to shift back. Breathe as we find the stretch, and then either stay here or take a gentle walk forward, bending at the hips. Seeing if that stretch change feels good for you or deciding whether you prefer to stay upright. Maybe you're coming all the way down onto your forearms and elbows, and if that's the case, pull the elbows back. You should notice the hips pull forward and down. We're always breathing, despite the intensity that you might feel in the stretch. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose, and if your arms are bent, we'll now come back up, placing the hands underneath your shoulders. Ready to tuck your back toes. Push on up, lift your left knee with you, step back to plank. We'll take a little walk before we prepare for a short rest. So drop the knees down, pull your hips back, untuck your toes, and extend your arms ahead of you. Excellent. Now stay here if you need to. Maybe you want a little bit of movement for your shoulders after those plank sequences. You can roll your shoulders out, shrug them, perhaps a stretch of the chest and a squeeze forward of the arms. Also, if you've not yet had a drink, it's a really good time to do it because we're already a third of the way through the class. Okay, for the main section of the flow, there's absolutely nothing fancy with this one. We're literally going to hit the basics. High lunge, warrior 2, warrior 3, building up the sequence each time. So nothing particularly fancy, nothing too crazy, but we've got to feature a balanced pose in our final third of the class. So with each section, we're going to start and finish in downward facing dog. So when you're ready, perfect way to make your way there, that you know you've got perfect distance between hands and feet, is to come through tabletop, extend one leg at a time through plank, and then without moving your hands and your feet, lift your hips up and drop your heels down. So this should give you your ideal downward facing dog. All right, let the head hang heavy. The hands are ahead of you. The heels are lowered as much as feels comfortable for you, and your hips are tilted up towards the ceiling. We'll take a breath in and lift the right leg, extending it up and back behind you. The foot is aiming for the ceiling. And then I promise, one round, knee to nose. Bring the right knee underneath you. Shift forward to plank. Stay high. Lift onto your left toes and step your right foot between your hands. Several steps is absolutely fine, or use your hands and your arms to assist. Good. Now, as your hips lower, your right knee is going to bend. It will start to feel the weight shift forward a little bit. So most of the weight now is over the right leg. Keep that strength. Remember, mountain pose stability. Breathe in and lift your arms up and overhead for high lunge. All right, so a little bit like pigeon. Shoulders are forward, hips are forward, and the left knee, if you were to bend it, straight down towards the ground. And as much as your arms are reaching up, you're going to relax them in your shoulders. So create a bit of space between the tops of your shoulders and your ears. It might help to turn your little fingers in as if you're carrying a bucket of water over your head. There's a thought. Draw your belly button in so the lower back is firm and flat. And as you bring your left hip forward, you should feel a nice bit of fire in your glutes. If you're feeling strong, you can sink a little lower. If you need to, lift on up, just as long as your right knee is bent more than your left. All right, we're going to lean forward and breathe out, sending our arms ahead of us. Before the hands come down, push the ground away, lift your right leg, step back to plank. Very, very nice. Knees down, untuck the toes, bring the elbows in towards your ribs as you look forward and exhale, slowly lower to the ground. Great, little engagement through the back of the body, palms into the ground, curl up and lift. You can keep your elbows bent for baby cobra, bringing the arch to your mid back, or if you prefer, the arms are straighter, elbows still tucked, and now the curve is more in your lower back. So maybe you try one of each and decide which you prefer. We'll then exhale and roll on down to the mat. So if you're in cobra pose, you work your way through baby cobra regardless. Tuck your toes, lift up and away, let your arms straighten. And when you're ready, the knees straighten, the hips lift, and we'll drop the heels back and down into downward facing dog. Take a breath, let your chest lower, let your head hang heavy, and then we'll work through the left side. So inhale, left leg extends with the foot reaching up towards the ceiling. Right hamstring stretch, you'll feel in the back of your right thigh. One round, knee to nose. Let the left leg come underneath you. Shift forward to plank. Stay high on your right toes and take a step when you're ready. Letting the left knee bend. The shoulders shift back, the hips shift forward. And we're looking for the left knee to line up with the ankle. Good. Remember mountain pose strength. Breathe in and lift. We'll come on up with the arms. So again, shoulders forward, hips forward. You're using your right glute this time. And if you were to bend your right knee, the kneecap is straight down towards the ground. The belly button is drawing in. So we've got the tailbone lowering towards the ground. Adjust the depth of the left knee bend as much as you need to. And again, maybe you consider turning the little fingers in to relax the shoulders away from your ears. Perfect. One more breath here before we lean forward, sending the arms ahead of you, elegantly bringing them down towards the ground. Good. Push the floor away. Pick up your left leg, step it back to plank. Excellent. Micro pause before we bring the knees down. Releasing your toes, spiral the crease of your elbow forward, and breathe out to lower gently down. Good, very nice. Again, a little engagement through the back of the body, so you might feel like your hip bones are drawing in towards the ground before you push the ground away and lift with your arms. Elbows again tucked into the ribs. You've got baby cobra with the elbows bent, or cobra pose with the arms a little straighter. Very nice. Breathe out and bring it down. Curl back to the ground. Tuck your toes, let your arms push you up and away, knees bend. Once your arms are straight, legs straight, the hips lift, and we drop the heels back and down. Fantastic. If you need a quick pause, you can take it now. Child's pose or any other pose that you prefer. You're welcome to stay in downward facing dog. You're welcome to grab yourself a quick drink and shake off your arms. When you're ready, make your way back to downward facing dog. Excellent. And then we'll start again, adding a pose to the end of our little sequence. So inhale, right leg lifts up and back. Keep the leg elevated a moment longer. Bring a little bend to the knee. See if you can send your toes skywards, but keep your knee close to center. Beautiful. Deepen the knee bend as the leg comes underneath you. Scoop it in towards your chest. Shift forward to plank. Take a step. Let the right knee bend. The hips lower. Start to look ahead of you. And we'll inhale and lift up to high lunge. Find the peak of your breath as your fingertips reach high. And then we'll bring the left heel down. The knee will turn to the side. The hip will start to open. Shoulders rotate. And you'll extend your arms. Landing beautifully, just like I can see into Warrior Two. Same option with your right knee. If you need to soften, straighten it out a little bit. If you can bend a little deeper, that's awesome. Your shoulders are here over your hips rather than leaning over your right leg. Extend your arms, relax the shoulders. And if you can, look over your right hand. Maybe a slight extension of the chin as you reach your left fingertips away. Good. Now we're going to reach forward with the right hand. Keep reaching, and then exhale, lower it down. Left hand comes up and over, turning your shoulders, turning your hips, lifting your left heel. Good. And then push away, step back to plank. Now, if you prefer to lower your knees to the ground like we did before, please do. Otherwise, stay on your toes and breathe out to lower, keeping the legs straight. Same option once you're on the ground, cobra or baby cobra pose. Curling up on your inhale, keeping the back of the body engaged. Imagine you're squeezing your shoulder blades together and tucking your elbows in tight. And then we'll breathe out to lower, gently down to the ground. Another option for you here to tuck your toes, keep your legs straight or bend them like we did before. So we can rise up through a plank or tabletop, your choice. Either way, once your arms are straight, let the hips come up Maybe you're adding the leg straightening then, and then drop the heels down for your downward facing dog. Amazing. Okay, left leg. We breathe in and lift, sweep it up and back. Hold the leg up just a moment longer. A little bend in the knee. See if you can send your toes skywards a fraction further, but keep the left knee close to your center line. Nice. Now bring the left knee underneath you to your nose, ripple forward through plank. Look at your thumbs and take a step through. Letting the left knee bend. Push into your right heel, loop your shoulders back, start to look ahead. All right, high lunge, here we go. Breathe in and lift. Find the peak of your breath as your fingertips reach their height. Right heel down as you start to exhale. Turning the knee to the side, hips and shoulders rotate, and the arms are long. Here we go in warrior two. Same option, you can bend the knee, you can lift out if you need to. We're just aiming to have the knee in line still with the toes, and the shoulders here in line with the hips, as opposed to loading your left leg unnecessarily. Look over towards your left hand, extend your right fingertips away from you, relax your shoulders as you reach your fingertips far apart, don't forget to breathe. And then as you reach forward with your left, keep reaching, keep reaching, keep reaching. Exhale, bring the hand down. Right hand up and over. Shoulders rotate, hips rotate. You'll pick up your right heel and then push the ground away, step back, plank. Excellent. Again, you have the option to stay on your toes with your legs straight or release the knees down to the ground. Now, if you're on your toes, take a little rock forwards and then exhale, lower down. So the hands land a little bit closer to your chest. Untuck the toes, breathe in and lift. Cobra or baby cobra. That's it. Collarbone broadens. Let the hips come towards the heel of your hand. Elbows spiral in. Good. Breathe out and lower. Down we go. And again, keep the legs straight if you need to, or bend the knees. We're going to push the ground away. The arms straighten before the hips lift further and the heels drop back and down. Amazing. Well done. We've got one more round of the flow to go. So if you want a sip of water, if you want a quick rest, if you want to stay in downward facing dog, all options available to you. Okay. So let's go through a quick checklist again. Your hands are ahead of you. Your heels are dropping down. Your hips are up and your head is heavy. Okay, final time for the flow. We're going to do all of the above, add a little bit to the beginning and add a little bit to the end. So when you're ready, the right leg lifts. This time, a generous bend at the right knee to bring your heel back towards you. Right knee high, maybe it opens out towards the side. But finally, shift your left shoulder away from your left toes. So the hips have rotated, but the shoulders are still square. Then the right knee comes underneath you, shifting forward through plank, taking a step when you're ready, letting the right knee bend as the back of the body lengthens, find your balance. Inhale, reach and rise, take it up to high lunge. And on your out breath, rotate and open into warrior two. Good. Relax the shoulders. Nice. Now we're going to try and keep the legs where they are. Inhale, reach forward, flip your palm up. And as you exhale, sweep it up and overhead, taking a sideways lean over your left leg. Now your left hand can land on your hips, your thigh, or your lower leg, depending on the extent of your lean. Your right elbow is up. Maybe you feel like you're turning your chest towards the ceiling because it's tempting to lean forward in this one. So right shoulder up and back. Elbow high, extend the fingertips. Check that you still have a bend in your right knee, whatever degree that is for you. And then we're going to use the strength of our body to lift us up and over, back into warrior two. Continue reaching forward, shift forward, exhale, lower that right hand. Good. Left hand up and over, prepare to turn your shoulders to the ground. Hips rotate, left heel lifts, and we'll push and step back to plank. Now, whether you're opting to stay on your knees or on your toes, you can take another option as you shift forward to breathe out and hover halfway down. So exhale, pause where your elbows brush your ribs, and then as you straighten your arms again, flip your toes for an option for upward facing dog. So here, the hips and the knees are floating off the ground. It's a little stronger for the upper half of the body. So if you prefer to bring your hips and your knees to the mat, then please take that version. As we hold here, decide if you're going to join me for the final transition or if you prefer to breathe out and lower and then come back up through tabletop or plank. Otherwise, your final option is to push into a pike, using your abdominal muscles, hips high, flip the toes when you're ready, and drop the heels down. So plenty options for you so that you can make this transition and the practice as a whole your own. All right, let's pause there for a breath. Let the chest sink down, head heavy, and then we'll work into our final round on the left side. So when you're ready, take a breath in. Left leg sweeps up and back. Big bend in the knee to bring the heel back towards your hips. Left knee can open out to the side, high and wide. Right shoulder away from your right toes, aiming to re-square your shoulders. Okay, left knee underneath your chest. Shift forward to plank. Take a step when you're ready. Letting the left knee bend, hips lower, back of the body lengthens. Good. Taking your strength from mountain pose as you reach and rise on your inhale, hands come up. Exhale and open out to the side into warrior two. Good, just soften the shoulders a little, long arms. Looking over your left hand, reach forward, breathe in, flip the palm, and as you exhale, lift the left hand up and over and into your reverse warrior. Good, so this time it's the right hand, hip, thigh, or lower leg, your option. Just keep a little soft so you're not propping up your weight on the right side. The left knee bend, you can adjust the depth. The elbow is high and you're stretching your fingertips away from you. That sensation of turning your chest towards the ceiling so that you resist the temptation of leaning forward. And of course, as ever, we are still breathing. Good, use the strength in your body to lift you upright. Long arms. Continue your reach forward, breathing out, the left hand comes down, right hand up and over, turning your shoulders, turning your hips, lift your right heel, and take a step back into plank. Good. Standing on your toes or lower into your knees, rocking forward if you're on your toes, and as you exhale, that same option to pause, halfway, chaturanga, and then extend your arms again, bring your hips forward and underneath your shoulders, shoulders looping back, upward facing dog. Good. Remember, you can lower down, breathe out, and then work your way back up through tabletop or plank, or bring your hips up and into a pike, flipping your toes when you're ready, drawing back on the heels, extending your arms, and downward facing dog. Amazing. Let's take it down onto our knees, untuck the toes, reach your arms ahead, and pause in child's pose. Little shift side to side if you need it. A sip of water by all means, or just pause there for a couple of breaths. Nice. A simple flow, but a nice fiery one when we work with a little bit more pace. So well done. I was keeping an eye on the screen. It looked like everyone is keeping up. Okay, if you haven't had a sip of water, take one super quick. All right, so we're going to work our way through another short little forward fold sequence before coming all the way up to standing and preparing for our balance section, which today is tree pose. And I'll give you some options once we get there. So from a kneeling position where you're likely to be, or forward fold, come on up, place your hands on the ground, let your toes tuck as you kick up with the hips, and then just take a little walk forward into forward fold. Same option. Feet hip distance apart or perhaps a little narrower. Fingers reaching to the ground or holding your elbows so that you can fold forward at the hips. Remember, the head is heavy. Shake it, nod it, sway it around, relax your shoulders. When you're ready now, we're going to take a breath in and lift up halfway, flattening your back. Draw the elbows behind you. Extend the back of the neck especially, looking down towards the ground. The lower ribs wrap in, the belly button draws in nice and tight. And then we'll breathe out again, forward fold, hamstring stretch, let the upper body hang heavy. Now we're going to curl up all the way to standing. So let your arms hang loose as you use the strength of your legs and your torso to lift you up and up and up. The chin can stay tucked in towards the chest until you come all the way upright. Loop your shoulders back. Return to our very first pose, mountain pose, palms forward. Remember that squeeze left to right, front to back, and top to bottom to give you that whole sensation of strength and stability. Now, tree pose. I'm going to give you lots of variations. If you're nervous about any balance sections and you want to have yourself near a wall or something that you can hold on to, that's absolutely fine. We're going to take the weight over our right leg first. The right leg is going to be your base leg. So pick up your toes, spread them wide, anchor them down, and soften your right knee to allow you to react to balance. Then we'll take the left knee out towards the side, starting to bring the sole of the foot in towards your ankle. And then a little lift up the calf. And if you need to, back down to the ground. So calf and ground. You can have your hands on your hips or by your sides, whichever gives you the best sensation of stability. And I'm going to encourage you to lift your left knee up as high as you can go without interfering. I use that term lightly. So this is the stronger variation because all the work in the lift is coming from your body. The knee is pressing out towards the side. You're still upright, belly button in, tailbone down, altering the position of your hands if you need to. Good. Toe tap down whenever you need. Now, the more flexible version is to provide a little bit of assistance. So as you lift your knee and your foot up, reach down towards the ankle, pull the heel up and towards your inner thigh, and then press it firmly into your inner thigh. Good. Find something to fix your balance or your gaze on. Same options for your hands. They can go whenever you need to. So now we've assisted this position a little bit more, and the friction foot to thigh takes some of the strength away, although changes the application a little bit, but gives you more stretch towards the hips. And if these options aren't working for you, let me give you one final one. Bring the outside blade of the foot into the hip crease on the right side, flex your toes, bend your right knee a little bit, and then send that left knee wide. So we're kind of coming into a bit of a half lotus variation. For me, this friction just works a little bit better, but it's a bit tighter for the hip. So you've got three options. Lastly, the arms. What did I say? Hitch the side out on your hips, or maybe upright. Move slowly. That's it. Fix your gaze. Well done. Very nice options out there. Perfect. One more breath, whichever your chosen option. Slowly release your arms. If you're in half lotus, you might want to assist your foot slowly coming down, or if it's on the inside of the thigh, gently release. And as you lower your left leg, just give the ankle a little roll out. Same for your base leg. Shift, wriggle, support. Perfect. Now, sometimes when we try this on the other leg, it's easier because your body's already started to figure out what works best to help it balance. Sometimes a little trickier because you may be a little bit more tired, or just because balance is a bit more challenging on the other leg. So we'll start again. We'll lift the toes, this time on the left leg, anchor them down, soften the knee, take a little bend at the hips. And as you turn your right knee wide, bring the sole of the foot on towards your ankle. Hands here or here, whatever you need. Little slide up, sole of the foot on the inside of the calf, tap down if you need to. And I'm literally going to run through all the same options. So if you find a position that works for you, pause there, awesome. If you want to carry on with me and move, that's fine. So this time, slide your foot up as high as you can, just using the strength in your hips. Remember the softness on the left knee, perfect. So stronger version now, you're carrying the whole weight of your leg here through the hips, perfect. If you're looking for that more flexible option, this time you're going to reach down, grab a hold of your ankle, bring your foot up towards your inner thigh, and you need friction. Push the foot to the thigh. Whoops, we're wobbling. All right, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Remember that finding something to look at to fix your gaze. Oh no, what did I say? This side was more challenging. Living proof. All right, breathe. Good. Find that friction. Remember the arm positions for you as well. Excellent. Yes, we've got it. And that final option to bring the crease of the foot onto the hip crease here, flex your toes, and then you're pushing down in towards your thigh for a little bit of a half lotus variation. With that final option, perhaps you're choosing to extend your arms. Good, well done. One more breath, whichever your chosen variation. Fantastic. And then we'll exhale, let the arms come down, and assist your foot, if necessary, to come back to the ground. Roll out your ankle, roll out your base ankle. Well done. Good. And I'm going to turn the same way as you. We're going to roll on down, forward fold. Chin to chest, reaching the arms down all the way to your mat. Perfect. Once you're here, let the head hang heavy, come back to your hamstring stretch. Another halfway lift as you inhale, flatten your back, tuck the elbows back. Little softening of the knees, lower ribs draw in. Excellent. Belly button draws in. And exhale, come on down. Very nice. Now step your feet a little bit wider, turning your toes out, and then you're going to shift as you bend your knees into yogi squat. So if you need to stay up a little bit higher for this one, you're welcome to. If you want a proper support underneath your hips, you're welcome to do that. So I quite like just a little shift into this position first, allowing the hips a little bit of time to figure out what's required. And if and when you're ready, hands up, palms together, elbows aiming for the inside of the knees. But then as you bring your elbows back, let your shoulder blades firm onto your back to lift your chest a little further. Fire up your glutes by pulling your knees wide. Almost think heels in, knees wide. That should give you a really nice bit of glute activation. Maybe even your knees are wider than your elbows now. Perhaps you can lose contact there. Good, well done, breathe. If you find you're sitting in this position and it's quite comfortable, lift up and out just a little bit. Then you'll get the legs working a bit more. One more breath. And then the hands will come down. We're going to go a wide-legged forward fold. Dial your heels out, so you're wider than hip distance now. Breathing out, folding forward. And then we're going to release, walk the feet in, bending your knees to the point where you can bring your hands to the mat. We'll gently, gently sit down. Hands behind you if you need to. Feet can shift ahead. Position yourself in the middle of your mat. So you've got plenty of space behind you, plenty of space ahead of you. Taking a breath out, a slow roll down to the ground, as controlled as you can be. Maybe your arms are ahead of you to help act as a counterweight. Lower back to mid back can be a little challenging. From the mid back across the ribs should be a little easier. Once you're down, knees in towards your chest. Give them a squeeze. And a gentle rock, side to side. Perfect. We're going to finish with a twist for this practice. So if you are feeling a little chilly and you want to add some socks or a jumper, do that quick. Otherwise, just keep rocking side to side. Start to be a bit more generous with your rock. So you're leaning over onto your upper arm as the weight of the legs shifts left to right. And the next time you come over to your right arm, lean all the way over. Catch your weight on your arm. Gently lower your legs. Your shoulders can move as well. Take your shoulders with you until your right knee, outside edge of the calf and ankle, come all the way to the mat. And then take a big breath in. And as you breathe out, soften your left shoulder back down as far as feels comfortable. So we've taken a double knee twist over to the right. Left shoulder opens back out. You can extend your left arm, maybe even turn your head to look over your left hand. And if you're wondering what to do on your right hand, it can rest on the floor. It can catch behind your knees or hold onto your hip. Either way, maybe you're using it to deepen your stretch. But with twists, we're always remembering that we can still comfortably breathe. If that's not the case, lift the left shoulder a little bit so the stretch feels less intense. All right, roll on back over to your right side, grab a hold of the knees, pick them up and over your chest again as we rock side to side, making the rock more generous so that you can lean onto your upper arm. And this time we're aiming to go all the way over to the left. Guide your knees down so that the left knee, outside edge of the calf and ankle can come to the mat before slowly unraveling, breathing out and opening out the right shoulder. Maybe it can come down to the ground. Option to extend your arm, looking over towards your right fingertips. And on the left hand, it can rest on the ground, hook behind your knees, or hold onto your hips. Checking in again that your breathing still feels natural and rhythmical and relaxed. Very nice. And then we're going to lean on over towards the left-hand side to pick up the knees, using your hands guide you. Last little rock side to side. Closing your eyes now. And when you're ready, set your feet down on the mat. You're welcome to keep your knees bent or gently walk your legs straight, letting them go. Maybe you give them a little shake side to side, letting the toes turn out once they stop moving. Your hands can rest by your side on the lower part of your belly, or left hand to chest, right hand to belly. Allow the shoulders to relax, take a little wriggle if you need. Allow the hips to soften and relax. Again, take a little wriggle if you need. And feel yourself sink down into your mat, aiming for relaxation, rest, and reset. All right. Observing the rhythm of your breath as it enters and your lungs fill up and inflate, and the softness as you breathe out. Good. And just a little thought to finish your day or finish our practice. Maybe they will choose you, and maybe they won't. But none of it matters if you choose yourself. Put yourself first, make yourself a priority. Maybe they'll choose you, maybe they won't. But it doesn't matter if you choose you. Now, if you want to stay on the mat a moment longer, you are absolutely welcome to do that. There's no obligation to move yet. But if you are ready to move, you can slowly start to wriggle your fingers and your toes, your hands and your feet, maybe wrists and ankles, and anything else that needs a little wriggle, a little movement, a little shake. When you're ready, slowly, gently, steadily, make your way up to a seated position of your choice. You can cross your legs, you can extend them, you can kneel on them, you can support them with cushions if you prefer. Once you're upright, like we did in mountain pose, imagine the front of the body is lifting, your chest is wide, your shoulders are pulled back, and the back of the body is grounded and anchored back down onto your mat. Good. And gently blink your eyes open if they're not already. We'll send our hands wide alongside the shoulders. Turn your palms up, take a breath in and lift. Palms together, exhale, elbows lower. Pausing in the center of the chest. Take a little lean forward if that feels comfortable. Let me say a big thank you for joining me for this practice. I know there were elements that were a little bit fiery, but also a little bit of time that was a bit slower and a bit more stretching. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you need to shoot off, just give me a little wave. Otherwise, well done. Thank you.